Hello, my name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about The Burning from 1981. But first, Halloween is fast approaching. Now, like 80% of the content on this channel is already spooky movies, stuff like that. So you wouldn't really notice a difference in the videos because it's all already Halloween stuff, but because Halloween is approaching, the Halloween pumpkin. Anyway, back to what I was doing. The Burning from 1981, directed by Tony Maylam, and also features special effects work from Tom Savini, the legendary special effects artist. He actually turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 to do this movie, and it kind of feels like an unofficial side film, I mean, obviously the narratives don't connect other than the fact they're both slashers, but it really fits, like a nice side piece. If you like Friday, you're probably going to like this as well. So you have this caretaker, this custodian at the camp, named Cropsy. Now, way back in time, not too way back, like about 10 years, I'd guess, these kids decide to play a joke on him because he's kind of a mean caretaker, and they say, okay, we're going to take this skull and we're going to put it beside his bed and wake him up and it's going to spook him. And it does, and he knocks over a candle, which hits some gasoline because apparently he sleeps in like a storage shed, and the gasoline blows up and he's all on fire and he runs out of his shed. And then he's in the hospital, and then I think a psychiatric hospital, because it's kind of a traumatizing incident for, like I said, about 10 years. He gets out, and when he's out, he wants some revenge. There's a new camp open up on the lake, a whole bunch of new people, and he starts to stalk them as any good killer would do. During this time, you get a whole bunch of drama. The teens, will have these relationships, and someone will do something, and so-and-so hates so-and-so, and so-and-so is dating that person. It is a little more interesting than the normal ones, because sometimes you get a whole bunch of filler here in slashers. It's a little better written, and there's some interesting stuff. And there's also Jason Alexander. One of the counselors is played by George from Seinfeld, and he's far and away the best actor in this movie. Really, really cool to see him. He's fun. He's young here. You actually get George with hair, which is really interesting. So Seinfeld fans, cool to see him. Speaking of Seinfeld stuff, Elaine from Seinfeld was actually in the first Troll movie. Just thought I'd bring that up while we're talking about Seinfeld. A lot of stars did horror early on. It's a lot of directors too. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, a group of these kids, and by the way, there's actually kids. A lot of the times when you see summer camp, it's usually the counselors beforehand. I think there's only is there only one Friday the 13th movie where there's actually kids at the camp? I think so. It's one of the 5 or 6, I think. Maybe 7. I need to learn my numbers better. I've seen them all. But anyway, yeah, there's actually kids here. They go upstream on a canoeing adventure. They get about halfway, and they wake up the next day. One of the girls is gone, and unfortunately, all their canoes are also gone. So they're trapped on this lake, and they don't know it yet, but Cropsy's there. The killer is with them, and they're all out in the woods on their own. And of course, they get picked off one by one. And there are a few really good creative kills here. Cropsy, he sticks to his main weapon. He has a garden shears. The garden shears in this movie were actually the inspiration for the scissors person in the Clock Tower games. So, lots of cool, cutting people up with those. Jason, he has his trusty machete, but Cropsy sticks to his much more loyally than Jason does. Jason likes to experiment with other stuff, and while it would be interesting and it would really change things up and you get to see a greater variety, Cropsy, he sticks with his garden shears, and he's also, you don't see him too much, he's got a big hat and his coat. He kind of looks like a giallo killer. You don't see him too often, of course. When you finally do see a whole bunch of him at the end, his hat gets knocked off quickly so you can see his cool, burned face. Really cool. Builds up towards the end of a really good fight scene. There's a spooky scene on a raft that's really interesting. I don't want to say what happens, but really, really cool stuff in this movie. Ironically, even though it's kind of like Friday the 13th, one of the biggest differences is this is the only burning movie. Cropsy's only in this movie. No sequels, no remakes. And my family, my dad and my brother were like, hey, we want to watch a lesser known slasher, not a big franchise film, and they said, can you give us a standalone? I was like, a standalone slasher, that's kind of rare. Most of them, even if they're not big, you do get some sequels. And I was looking through the library, I'm like, huh, this is probably the biggest of the standalone slashers. No sequels, no remakes, although, you know, the way things are going, I'm sure we'll get one eventually. But anyway, really good, cool slasher movie with a cool, unique killer and a one-of-its-kind. Anyway, next time I'll cover everything I did in September, all the movies I saw in theaters in September. And there's only 2. There was not much movies in September. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.